Thou hast been vain and loose in thy conversation in other things, that have not been of the same nature with that lust wherewith thou art perplexed. These are no less sins and evils than those under which thou groanest. Jesus Christ bled for them also. Why dost thou not set thyself against them also? If thou hatest sin as sin, every evil way, thou wouldst be no less watchful against everything that grieves and disquiets the Spirit of God, than against that which grieves and disquiets thine own soul. It is evident that thou contendest against sin merely because of thy own trouble by it.
Huh? What does that mean?
Dude, talking about Kryptonite! Losing my religion, next on So What. Hi, I'm Chris Dorman.
And I'm Don Waite.
Welcome back to So What. So did you understand what I just read? I didn't either the first 2 or 3 or 4 times I read it either, but I had an inkling in my spirit that there was something profound there for me, something that I needed to hear and that I needed to hear for a long time. What Owen is saying is that, look, you may have this sin in your life that really bothers you. This habitual sin that's like kryptonite, that it steals your strength, it robs you of hope, it just completely defeats you every single time, and you can't seem to get past it. You might have a sin like that in your life, and that could be at the forefront of your mind all the time. God, please, please, I won't do it anymore. Please take this from me. I promise, I'll pledge, I'll do whatever. And yet the next day or 2 days later, whatever, there it is again.
An hour later.
Owen is saying, he said, look, why is it bothering you so much? Does it bother you because it's an offense against God? Or does it bother you because it makes you feel dirty? Because it embarrasses you? Because if other people found out about it, you would be shamed. And they might be disappointed in you. What is your motivation in trying to combat that sin? Owen is saying, look, because if you don't look at all sin the same, if you're not going to be serious about all of your sin, then don't expect God to deal with that sin. And if he's not dealing with that sin, then you know what? It's probably not the most important sin you need to deal with, even though in your heart it is.
You know, dude, you make a great point. Hey, I'm going to share with you a verse out of Ephesians, okay? He says in chapter 4, verse 29, Paul says, let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. So, what's he saying? Every single word that comes out of my mouth
must be edifying to others.
Oh, man.
And don't say it if it's not going to build up and encourage others.
So here's a question. Do I take that sin as seriously as a bosom sin that just drives me batty, that I can't get over?
Exactly. Right? And that command out of Ephesians is just that. It's a command. Don't. If it doesn't encourage, if it doesn't edify, then keep your mouth shut. Okay? And in our digital age, you keyboard warriors, that means you too. Shut up. That's what it means. How many of us violate that multiple times a day without even thinking about it?
Right. I mean, every time, for every time that I actually realize that I've said something, there's probably a dozen times that I didn't even acknowledge it. Right? And why do I bring that up? Because, look, if I don't take that kind of sin in my heart as serious as these things that I'm really striving and struggling with.
Habitual sins.
Right? If I don't take them with an equal seriousness, there may be something that needs to be dealt with in my heart.
Exactly.
Because the bottom line is this, Chris, we're a selfish people. I'm a selfish man. And so, yeah, you know what? Those bosom sins do get me in a bad spot, and I feel horrible, and I get embarrassed, and I don't want people to see me that way. But if that's what I'm trying to hone in on, and that's why I'm trying to avoid the sin,
that's your motivation for dealing with it.
I'll never be successful in killing that sin.
Never. Because it's about you. It's about me, what I realized.
Yeah.
And beloved, you've got to be honest with yourself about this. If you really, really want to do business with God, you really want to deal with sin, then you've got to be honest with yourself. And when I read that Owen quote for the 5th or 6th or 7th time, and it finally sunk in, I was prepared to be honest by the grace of the Holy Spirit indwelling me. I was like, you know what? I hate that sin because of how it makes me feel, not because it's an offense against God. And that's when I knew I was busted. It's like, okay, so now my prayers, I let the Holy Spirit set the agenda of the wrestling with sin in my life. I do. And I've got to tell you, I've got to be honest with you, beloved. I feel a freedom that I haven't felt in a very long time. I'm not saying I'm done with that sin forever, because none of us are with anything.
Right.
What I'm saying, though, is that this thing doesn't consume my thoughts and my and my desire for battling sin. I'm entrusting the Holy Spirit to bring to the surface that which He wants me to deal with. And because if He's doing it, then He's going to empower me to deal with it.
You know, another way to look at this is this. Let's say somebody watching is really struggling with anger in their lives. Maybe you're really struggling with that. And you're going to classes on anger management, and you're telling brothers and sisters about it, and you're saying, look, I want to make progress in this. I don't want to sin in this way. I don't want to get angry. And you're just a mess about it. It could very well be that there's something behind the anger that you need to deal with.
Right.
Okay? Before you can make any progress in that is equally reprehensible in the eyes of God.
Right.
Here's a question is, as much as your sin may grieve you, how much do we believe that our sin grieves the Holy Spirit? Do we really believe that?
Wow.
Right? I believe as we begin to see our sin for what it is and what it does to the heart of God, it's going to have a way bigger impact than anything bemoaning our own sin would ever do. Right?
Yeah. And that's just the message for today, beloved.
Yeah.
I when I read that and understood it, I was so encouraged. I was so hopeful. I was humbled by seeing the selfishness of my battle with sin, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Because I was dealing with my sin in a selfish way. I didn't like how it made me feel, so God, you better deal with this. I feel a freedom now that I just haven't felt. And it's so encouraging, beloved. If you've got kryptonite in your life, could it be that you can't get past it because your motivation is all wrong? Really, ask yourself, be honest, prayerfully seek Him and ask Him, Lord, really, when I deal with this, is this about me, really, or is it about you? Am I broken and upset about this because of my offense against you and your graciousness in my life, or is it because of how it hurts the people around me, or how it makes me feel? Be honest. Do business with your soul. And you can deal with sin. You can deal with habitual sin. It could just be that kryptonite. Could just be you're looking at it all the wrong way. Thank you for tuning in, my friends. And I'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you soon.